Okay, for those l'chaimers, we finished the parak. We'll finish the parak soon. We got to the Mishnah, right? Yeah, we got to the Mishnah. Mishnah on Tzadi Gimel Amud Beis. So again, we started already talking about Shomrim, even though the Ikar Shomrim is not until the next parak, but now we're talking about all the different eins already. So Zeiv Echad, Eino Einos. If one wolf comes and attacks the sheep, right? But most of the time with Shomrim, the Gemara uses the mashal of somebody who is watching sheep, like a shepherd is watching sheep. So if one wolf came and I guess killed a sheep, so he's not an Einis. Shnei Ze'evim, Einis. But if two wolves came, and he's not an Einis, because a guy, any decent shepherd, should be able to chase that wolf away. But Shnei Ze'evim, that's an Einis, because that's already much harder. At a time when there's a mishlachas of Ze'evim, that means Ze'evim are it's like a makkah, like a plague. Ap Ze'ev echad Einis, then even one Ze'ev is an Einis, because it seems like when the going is good for these guys, so then they have the upper hand. Shnei klavim eino Einis. Two dogs is not an Einis, right? Because again, you should be able to fight off two dogs. Yedua Habavli Aimer Mishum Rameir. That's an interesting name. Yedua Habavli says Rameir Ruach Echad Achas Eino Einis Mishtei Ruchas Einis. If the dogs, meaning the multiple dogs, the two dogs come from one way, it's not an Einis. From two Ruchas, it is an Einis. Fine, Halistim. That's robbers, right? Rashi says it's one. Right? Listim is plural. What is the singular of listim? A lester, right? I don't know if there is a singular of listim, right? So Rashi says chad listim cover. It means one crook. Hareza Einis, that's an Einis. Ha'ari, Doiv, Namar, and Bardlus, Vanochash, Reilu Einis, those are all Einis. Emosayim is Manchabo Meilan, that's only when they came by themselves. Aval Halchan the Makim do they chayav listim, but if he goes and he brings them to a place where there's do the chayav listim, Eino Einis, he's not an Einis. Mesa Kedarka, if it dies in the regular way, Hareza Einis, it's an Einis. Sogfa, but if he gives it Sigufim, Sigufim means he gives it punishments, meaning he punishes the animals, which Rashi says he leaves it hungry, or he keeps it out in the sun for too hot, and in the winter in the cold. Eino Einis, that's not considered an Einis, because the watchman, the shepherd, was not dealing with them properly. Also, l'Rosh Tzukin, if it went up to a steep mountain by itself, it climbed up and nafla, hareza Einis, that's an Einis. Hello, l'Rosh Tzukin v'nafla, but if the shepherd, brought it up on top of the mountain and fell down on mace and it died, Eino Einis, then it's not an Einis. Right, so we said by also l'Rosh Tzukin, why is that an Einis? How did he let the animal climb up the mountain? Wasn't he supposed to watch the animal so it doesn't go up the mountain? So Rashi brings the in Parak HaMafkid that his people brought it up there to the mountain. It wasn't like it went by itself. The people brought it up there. Yeah. Okay. So then, fine. So that's a mission. So that's a list of what's Einis, what's not an Einis. So like Gemara asks for Tanya Zeiv Echad Einis. So we said one wolf is not an Einis, and here we're saying that it is an Einis. It's okay. That's talking about that the time when there's a plague of Ze'evim. But Rabbi Yehudi, and it's going according to Rabbi Yehuda, who holds it's an Einis. But a Shasa plague, if even one wolf is considered an Einis. Halistim Areza Einis. Listim is Einis. This is a Gemara for all those that hold that the Yidden should be getting guns now. All right, so why is Listim Einis? Amai Luki Gavra Lahadi Gavra. It should be one-on-one. That's where Rashi in the Mishnah gets it from. That listim doesn't mean plural; it just means one. The Gemara is asking: you have the shepherd, the raya is a fighting against the ganev, so it's one-on-one. Right? So why should he be considered an einus? He should have been able to fight him off. So when it says Amarabba listim azuyin, no, that guy was not. He was not stam listim. He was an armed robber. Right. So therefore, once a guy's armed, so he has the upper hand. Fine. So Gemara asks, listim azuyin v'roya azuyin v'mahu. What's the story if you have they're both armed? Right, the listim azuyin and the roya azuyin. Mahu. Mi amrin and uki gavra lahadi gavra. Do we say okay? It's one-on-one, like a shootout, like the good old movies, right? It's a one-on-one, and he should be able to protect himself or the sheep. Or do we say that the Ganev, he's experienced and he's out to make money, so he's going to be Meiser Nefesh, and this other guy and the Raya is not. He's just defending. So it's a very important. I believe it's a very important hashkafic answer, hashkafic/halachic answer, which is mistabra the high Meiser Nafshe v'hai loy Meiser Nafshe. It's mistabra that the Ganev is going to be more Meiser Nefesh than the shepherd, because the Ganev, that's what he does for a business. That's what he's out there to do. Right? So I think, but I can't say for sure, and that is the way we paskin. Meaning we paskin that even if you're armed, it's still considered a einus. You're watching something for somebody, and a guy comes to the door and says, give me all your money or your life, or whatever it is, and you have a gun. So we say, okay, why don't you shoot him? We say no. He's not, he's potter. Because it's an einus. Because this guy is going to win, because he's the stronger, the crook is the stronger guy. Right? And he's going to be willing to be, not necessarily the stronger, meaning he's going to be much more dedicated to the cause. You're just playing defense. Right, which we see with the Arabs. These guys are they're out on whatever it is. That's why they're. I think I'm no analyst. I'm no military.
Jonathan is going to take more risks because this is his job.
Correct. So by the Arabs, this is their job. Their job is to kill Yidden. That's what they want to do. To us, we're just defending ourselves, right? So.
It's not a good marshal. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
You don't. Why not?
I don't agree with you, Marshal.
Okay, why not?
Because I don't. Because it's not true.
Okay.
Because Baruch Hashem, the IDF is better fighters than the Yamach Shemomniks are. They're better fighters than them.
That's true. That I agree with you, but they shouldn't be. Again, we're losing a lot of these guys. A lot of our people, we're losing them. When we have way more firepower and manpower, right?
The number you're losing ain't a diamond to what you're killing. There's no one.
Yeah, but if I don't know. That's true. But even for us, even losing one is a
yeah. Well, in a Hanami, it hurts us more. That has nothing to do with.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be as hard as it is for us, because they're the Maisa. They'll just go crazy.
So,
right?
So somebody like you who doesn't want to have a shul, maybe you should go and speak to all the people who have shuls and have yeshivas and have all the bachim and Jungelite learn harder and longer and don't have Beinas Starim and don't have Beinas Manim. So it's up to you, Rabbi. Nothing.
I'm with you.
So do it.
I can only do it whatever I could do. I do it on my text and I do it on my WhatsApps and I try. What should I do? It's but anyway, but then you have another thing, bringing it to the mundane. You got everybody's trying to get, oh yeah, we need to get guns to protect ourselves. Really? You got a guy coming knocking on your door and you think that you're going to be able to fight him one-on-one with you with your gun and him with his gun, please. Right? I mean, the Gemara is saying that he is going to be Meiser's Nefesh more than you. Right? I think. Right? I mean, that's what the Gemara is saying.
I would imagine it's Gufa because the life is worth less. So they're expected to do more.
But that the Gemara is not saying that.
That is what it's saying. Listim doesn't value his life. He'll go
Doesn't
kill anything for any reason.
it doesn't say. It says he's going to be moiser his nefesh. It doesn't say because his nefesh is worth less. No.
I just think that's part of it.
See, look at the Rashi. Rashi says halistim. The first Rashi in the Gemara says halistim almanas kain ba. That's why they're coming. Oile hare, oile arak. They're coming in there. Either I'm going to get killed or I'm going to kill. That's their v'yikach mammon, and I'm going to take money. But the roya ain't like limson nafsheh. The roya is going to say, "Listen, okay, he'll take my sheep." Right. So a person who's defending his house or his money or whatever it is, he's not gonna have that same drive. So you're saying that Rashi means that the Moshe Nevesh is because he doesn't. That mashallah, I don't think it's mashallah.
That is the flip side to Rashi saying. The Raya understands that his life is worth more, so he'll let his property go.
Okay, I didn't read that into the Rashi's words. I hear.
The other guy is committing suicide by cop.
I hear. Okay, I understood it that he's there with a mission, and he knows going into the mission either I'm going to come out, I'm going to kill somebody and take his money, or I'm going to get killed. That's all.
Yeah. Gershon, you're quoting a very famous Hell's Angel, which is what you're saying. I'm serious.
Yeah, well,
I know, but I didn't mean to.
Sonny Barger, who was the head Hell's Angel 50 years ago, that's what he said. He says he never loses a fight because he doesn't care if he dies or not. He doesn't care. Doesn't care. So he fights like a total chaya because he doesn't care. He doesn't he doesn't protect anything in the fight.
Okay, so there you go. That's the Gemara. Right? That's mamash.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. No, it's just whatever. We just got to be careful when everybody's getting guns and all that. What exactly we're going to do? It's no foolproof thing. All right.
I shouldn't notarize all those applications that they're coming to me with.
I think you should or you shouldn't. I'm just saying that it's not so push it. That's all.
I get at least once a week somebody's coming into my office.
Listen, I'm not. I think it's a good thing. But I don't think anybody should be confident going up like the gun that it's going to be so simple. That's all. All right. Amalei Abaye l'Rava. So Abaye said to Rava, Ashkechei Roya is also an interesting case. Abaye told Rava, Ashkechei Roya, if a guy finds a Roya, Amar Lei, and he said, I'm sorry, a Roya finds a Ganav, right? Meaning now this is the pre-game before the guns come out. The guy knocks on the door and he says, give me your money. Now, he doesn't know there's a gun out there. So the guy tells him, the Yid's a smart guy. And he tells him, or he thinks he's a smart guy. And he says, V'amar lei, Gan Vasarya, you Ganav who's decayed, you decayed Ganav. Beduchta plani in our city, right? Yasivinon, we're sitting, meaning we're here, we ain't moving. Anton Aleph. Kach v'kach gavri ikabadan, we have this and this amount of people. Right? And we're gonna kill you if you come. Kach v'kach kalbi ikabadan. We also have this and this amount of dogs. Kach v'kach zuksa psikalan. And we have zuksa is what David HaMelech did. The slingshots. We got this and this amount of slingshots. And then the thief looked him in the eye and stole anyways. Right? So meaning he was big, giving him the big talk, and the guy, the Ganav took it anyway. So what's the din? So that's what Abaye asked Rava. This guy is considered like as if he brought the sheep to the place where the listim hang out, and therefore he's chayev. Right? So what does that mean? This is deep psychology. The way Rashi explains it is that you gas them up. Right? You try to show that Ganav that you're so protected So he said, you know what, I'm gonna try me, right? And because he did that, the guy decided that he felt he was challenged, and Mamela he stole, right? So the roy is chayiv. I can't say that I would. This is the way we paskin the Shulchan Aruch also. I cannot say that that's the way I would have paskin if the shaila came, but okay, but that's what he's saying. So now you see that taking up arms is not so simple, and even I don't know if this is called diplomacy, but threats, verbal threats, is also not going to work, right? I don't know. But in the first way, it's at least a kula. In the first way, it's a kula that he's still considered an einus. Even if he had a gun and they stole from him, he's considered an einus. Right? But here, he's not considered an einus. Okay. Now we have this next Mishnah has to do with this week's parsha. The parsha V'chukaisai. See if anybody figures that out. Masne Shomer Chinam Lias Potter Mishvua. So Shomer Chinam can make a tanai that he's going to be potter from Shvua. Normally, a Shomer Chinam, he makes a shvua and he's potter on everything. But he can make a tanai and say that he's not making a shvua. But Shoyel, and the Shoyel, the borrower, who's normally chayav and everything, lias potter milashalim. He could also make a tanai and tell the guy, I'm borrowing from you, but I'm going to be potter from everything. I don't know why the guy would lend it to him, but that's what he says. Somebody who's getting paid to watch and a renter, lias paturim mishvua milashalim. They would also be potter from a shvua milashalim, meaning the Mishnah is saying that a person can make a tanai, right? Now, why is this not masna mashakosu b'Torah? The Ma'aser the Torah gives us what these shaymer are chayim, and now he's saying, no, I'm not making it tanai. So we'll have to see in the Mishnah, but we'll see in the Gemara. But ekola masna mashakosu b'Torah tanai batal. So if you make a tanai on anything that's written in the Torah, then the tanai is batal, right? So the question is, how did this work then? Why are we saying that the person could do this? Right? Isn't that a masna mashikos of the Torah? Also, we'll have to see in the Gemara. And then the third thing in the Mishnah is v'chol tanai sheyesh ma'isa b'tchilasoi. Any tanai that has a ma'isa first, tanai batal, the tanai is batal. So, like we know from the Shvatim by Gad and Ruvain, right? Chatzi Sheva Menashe, they didn't want to go into Eretz Yisrael. They said, look, we want to stand Ever Yad. So they told Moshe, but we'll go and or meaning they made the Tanai. Right? So it's a Tanai cup, what we call Tanai Kafel. It says if the Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven are gonna pass over to Yadeh, right, and then they're gonna help us out, then they'll keep it. And if they don't, then they won't. Meaning you have to say both ends of the Tanai. You have to say the first part and the second part. And the action, the Tanai has to be first. Right? Meaning, if they're going to pass over, then this is what you're going to do. That's right. So the Tanai has
you just brought it from Parsha and Bereshit, but it's from this week's Parsha also.
I'm saying this week's Parsha. Why?
Yeah, but you brought from from Menashe and from Menashe. Yeah.
Yeah, but what's the pshat? Why is it this week's parsha? Because b'chukaisai, in b'chukaisai seilechu, the Gemara brings it. If you're going to go with my chukas, fine, and then a bunch of psukim later. And if you don't go with my chukas, so you see that a tanai, even the type between Hashem and Klal Yisrael, was a tanai kafel, right? But anyway, so that's what we're saying. That's a tanai. The tanai has to be the tanai has to be before the ma'isa, and then the last thing is and if it's possible to do the tanai, and that's what it was done from the beginning, then the tanai is kaim. Meaning, it's the Gemara is going to say this talking about impossible tanai. Like you make a tanai that you're going to go to the moon, and then you give it to it. So the Mishnah is saying that's still considered a tanai, and if you don't go to the moon, then you're not going to get it. We'll see in the Gemara. Okay, so Zog the Gemara, Frek the Gemara, Amai Masna Mashukos of B'Toru. Why the Shemrim working? How does it work with the Shemrim? Again, the Shemrim making this tanai. How can it work? It's a masha masakos b'Torah. V'chol masna masakos b'Torah tonight bottle. They're basically the shoyel saying, I'm not going to be chayiv to do anything. What do you mean? The Torah says you chayiv everything. So what answers Hamani Rabbi Yehuda, the Amar b'Davar Shabamama tonight kayim. Going according to Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that by money the Tanai is kayim. The Tanya, we had this a couple times. I'm really Isha. A guy tells the wife, right? There's three things that a man is chayiv to his wife: clothing, and food, and aina is relations. So he tells her, "I'm going to marry you on condition I don't have to keep any of them." Harezim ukudeshes utanai bottle. They're considered married, and the tanai is bottle divrei meir because it's masla mashakos. But Torah it doesn't work. The davar shabamama and tanai kaim. In the money ones, which is sharing ksus, the tanai is kaim because financially, even though it's against what the Torah says, but if a guy decides he doesn't want the financial advantages that he's entitled to, so he doesn't have to take it. But the aina part, that the man would be chayiv to do. So
sharing ksus for aina is three separate chiyuvim. So you're dividing the chiyuvim and saying, you're basically saying that one chiyuv. It doesn't take away the whole kedushin.
No, he's saying it's a separate thing. Rabbi Yehuda is saying it's a separate thing.
Separate.
The question is the kedushin is not the kedushin. The question is the kedushin is a kedushin according to both sheets. The shaila is he entitled not to feed and clothe his wife?
If he says I want to marry, but I'm not giving you ksuba.
No, it doesn't work.
Why?
What?
It's money.
Does the kedushin would work, but they're not allowed to stay married because you need a ksuba, but that's a different reason.
So you're not allowed to stay married if you don't do your chiyuvim.
What?
You're not allowed to stay married if you don't do your chiyuvim either, no?
No, you might have a rights to divorce. You still need a get. You still need a get. Right?
So, but is the kedushin a good kedushin? Arayim a kedushin I'm not these three things.
Yes, it's according to everybody. The kedushin is a good kedushin. You can't make it tonight. You can't make it tonight. I mean, you can make the tonight all you want. The tonight is not a tonight. It's masla mashakos b'Torah. Just Rabbi Yehuda holds that the financial ones you're allowed to. Right. Anyway, so that's what he's saying. So the Tanai is according to Reb Yehuda, the Tanai would be kind. So Gemara says, "Umi matzi mukus like Reb Yehuda." Can we really say our mission goes like Reb Yehuda? Aim a sefer. What about the sefer? Kol masa mashakazu b'Torah Tanai batal. Right? It says that any Tanai that you go against what the Torah says, the Tanai is batal and asan l'rameir. That has to be rameir. So how can you say that the first part of the mission is Reb Yehuda and this is rameir? So when it says "Halekasha loylam Reb Yehuda b'sefer b'davar she'ein shamamar," it's no kasha. The whole Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda, and the Sefer is talking about a Tanai against the Torah that has nothing to do with money. And even Rabbi Yehuda's mother that the Tanai doesn't work. Right? It's a Sefer. Call Tanai sheyesh by Maisa b'tchila. The Sefer says any Tanai that has the Maisa first, Tanai batal, the Tanai is batal, meaning it has to be done exactly the way it was done by Bnei Gad or Bnei Reuven. Man shamas le'dis le'hai svara. Who holds that? Rameir. That's Rameir. The Tanya Abba Chalaf the Ishkar Chananya Amar Mashum Rameir. So he says the Shem Rameir Tanai Koydum Lamaisa. The Tanai has to come before the action. Hareza Tanai. That's a Tanai. Maisa Koydum Tanai. If the Maisa comes first, then ain't no Tanai. Then it's not a Tanai. Right? Meaning that you have to always say the Tanai. You have to always say the Tanai first. Meaning if you do A, then you'll get B. That's a Tanai before the Maisa. But you don't say, I'll give you this if you do this. Right? That's not the proper way to do it. Whatever it is, it's Rameir. That goes according to Rameir. And we just said the whole Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda. So what answers Alakula Rameir, the whole Mishnah is Rameir B'Shani. Basically, this is a workaround against the Tanai, because what happened is he didn't become a shomer and then he says, by the way, I'm becoming a shomer but I'm not keeping the Tanaim. Then that would be against what the Torah is saying. He's basically saying, I am only going to become your shomer if we structure the contract that I'm not responsible. Right? Having nothing to do with the dinam of shomer. I mean, he's not saying I'm your shomer and therefore, but I'm going to be potter from the payments. No, that would be against what the Torah says. He's basically saying, I'm not a shomer. I am a independent contractor who is watching your things, but I'm not going to be responsible. Something like that. Right? He does some sort of shtick that way. Right?
But somehow with marriage we say shibud nafsha first.
Yeah, right. With marriage, you can't do this.
Why?
How are you going to do it with marriage?
It's the same thing. Lo shibud nafsha. Before the kiddushin, why can't he say Arayat Makadeshes li im something?
Yeah. No,
there was no shibud before this.
You can't say I'm your husband, but not for this and this. Doesn't work. A husband's responsibility is a share ksos and oina.
And a shomer.
A shomer, he's saying, I'm not a shomer. I am a, I don't know what he's calling himself, but I am a, I don't know what I am. I'm potter from everything. I'll do you a favor. I don't know, something like that. I'm not borrowing from you. Right?
We had it with Yovel. We had that with Yovel. You can make a contract that supersedes Yovel.
You make a contract, right? Yeah, but that's yeah, I guess so. That's going to be something that Yovel won't be able to. Yeah, that would be the same. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So Tana, Mumasna Shema Sacher Lias Kishayel. So we said that a Shema Sacher is he can go the other way. In the Mishnah, the Shomer was saying, I'm not going to be responsible. Right? I'm not gonna be responsible for what I'm supposed to be responsible in a Torah. Here is going the other way around. The guy is saying, I want to be so responsible, I'm going to be responsible for everything if I mess it up. So then he's allowed to do. That you're allowed to do. Meaning, it's interesting. Because what do you mean? Why is that not a masna mashikos of a Torah l'chumra? To that, the Gemara is saying, no, that's okay. As long as you're keeping what the Torah says, you want to take on additional things, that's fine. That's not masna mashikos of a Torah. Right? So the Gemara says, "B'mai, how is he being meshabed himself? The dvarim with words, meaning you have to have some sort of a kinyan to make sure that he's mechuyev to do this extra thing. So the Gemara says, "Amar Shmuel b'shekana miyada." Yeah, it's talking about what he did at Chalip, and he was kind of something from him. Meaning he did, like we've discussed many times, the same thing that we do in mechiras chametz. Right? It's not a kinyan. You're just doing something to strengthen whatever the deal is. Right? Rabbi Yochanan says, "Afilu tema b'shaloi kana miyada." And Rabbi Yochanan says, it's even if they didn't make a kinyan, b'hi hana the kanafik kala the inish behemnahu. This that he's going to get a hana, that the rumor is going to go out that this guy's, this guy, he takes himself on extra shibud for shmira. So, and he's going to get a good reputation that he's an honest fellow. So gomer meshabed nafshi. So that's what he is meshabed himself to do. Right? Meaning that's how he's meshabed himself. Right? Because again, he's getting something out of it. Yeah, fine.
Anything that's worth anything? A reputation?
What do you mean?
He's getting a good name.
What's he doing with the reputation?
Yeah.
He'll be able, I imagine, he'll have a good credit rating and he'll have a good
He'll be able to make money from it.
Well, people will certainly use his shmira service. I would think. Right? I would go with him more than the guys in the Mishnah. Right? The guys in the Mishnah I want to stay far away from. This guy seems to be an honest guy. Right? Okay, right. So we said that if you could be Mekayim the Tanai B'Soifoi, then it works, right? Meaning, so what is this? Okay, let's just say the Gemara. Because Amar of Tavla, Amar Rav. So Rav Tavla said on Shem Rav, Zudi Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema, Avachama Mayrim, Afal Pi Shei Efshalei L'Kaima B'Soifoi V'Hisna Allah Mitchilase Tanai Kayim. He says that the Tanai, even though you'll never be able to Mekayim the Tanai, and you make the Tanai in the beginning, the Tanai is going to be Kayim. What does this mean? The Tanya Reza Gita. A guy tells his wife, "This is your get Amanasha Tali L'Rakia, that you take me up to the sky, meaning take me into outer space. Amanasha Tali L'Tayim, on condition you take me way into the deep water. Amanasha Tivli Kana Shomea Ama, or on the condition that you swallow a reed that's 100 amas long. Obviously, these are all impossibilities. Amanasha Tavri Es Hayama Godel Baraglecha, that you walk across the Yama Godel with your feet. Niskayim Tanai, if they were Makayim the Tanai, Harezeh get, then it's considered a get. Right? Loy Niskayim Tanai, but if they weren't Makayim, it ain't a get. It's not a get. Right? Meaning we believe this Tanai. Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema Omer Kazeh get. Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema says that it's considered a get, meaning even if the wife doesn't take him to the moon or walk across water, etc., etc. So you see that's actually a machlokes. So Klal Omer Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema Kol Shi Yevshalei L'Kaim B'Soifei V'Isna Lo Mitchilah, say something that's impossible to be Mekayim, and somebody made a Tanai Eina Ela K'Mafliga. He's just making her nuts. Right? He doesn't really mean to make the Tanai. He's just driving his wife batty before he gives her a get. Right? So then it's kosher. And the get is kosher. So it's a machlokes. So Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav, Halacha Rav Yehuda ben Tema, the halacha is like Rav Yehuda ben Tema. Amar Rav, Yitzam Mastisa Nami Deka. Our mission is meduyik like that. The Katani Kosher Efshalei L'Kaim B'Soifoi. If he's able to be Mekayim in the end, the Hisna Lo Mitchilas, then he makes the Tanai Mitchilas. The Tanai Kayim, the Tanai is Kayim. But if he's not able to, Tanai Batal, the Tanai is Batal. Shema Mina, then that's the correct, and that's what we say. So therefore we just basically say that the Tanai, he was just doing it to make her Meshuga, or to make anybody Meshuga. Yeah. Okay, Hadran Allah Chasar as a Pailam. I don't know if anybody's on.
No.
Yeah, L'chaim.
I'm like a future L'chaim. I didn't do Abdullah yet, but when I do, it'll be on beer. So L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Now that we've said that the last line of the Mishnah is Yehuda ben Tema, what's wrong with saying that the Reish is Rabbi Yehuda, the Metzia is Rabbi Meir, and the Seif is Yehuda ben Tema? Why do we have to say Kula Rabbi Meir? Different halachas, different tanoim.
I mean, well, because we couldn't figure out a way within Masna Mashkos B'Torah to fit it in according to both.
No, the Masna Mashkos B'Torah was Rabbi Yehuda. We asked from the Sefer, the Ma'aseh Kodim with Tanai. So that's for Meir, fine. We didn't ask from the last line is Yehuda ben Tema. It's not Meir or Rabbi Yehuda.
Right. I hear. I don't know. Okay, you want to say all three? All right, maybe. I mean, not maybe. That's the Gemara. I don't know if to say the riot. Somebody's going to be something in the Mishnah is always going to be according to somebody. Doesn't have the rest of the Mishnah.
Yeah, the Ma'aseh Kodim with tonight we don't have a chaylik even.
Right.
All we know is that Rameir said it. So we don't know the chaylik.
Right. I hear that. Yeah. Okay. Good. So now we start with Hashayil. Right. So that's talking about, again, continuing with all the Shomrim. So Hashayil is a para. The guy borrows a para. V'shol ba'aleh ima. This is called what bail of imay. Right. So basically, when a guy borrows something and the owner is employed by him, so then there's based on psukim bail of imay. So then he's potter if anything happens to the animal. Right. Meaning, so let's say the boss. No, the other way around. let's say how does it go? The boss borrows something from the employee, right? The boss borrows some. The boss borrows something from the employee, and then something happens. So that's Bailav Imai, and that was when he's going to be Potter, because since he was employing the employee who's the person who he borrowed from, right? So Shayla part of a Shal Bala Ima. So in this case, it's talking about it wasn't exactly what I was saying, but he borrowed the Baal with him. I Sacher Balam, or he rented the Baal with him. Meaning, I was saying in a case where he was already employed before, but this is talking about what he did both. He borrowed from him, and he said, "By the which I guess the classic case would be, I want to borrow the horse, and I also need you to drive the horse." Right? Shala Bailim, Aischaron, or he borrowed from the Baal, or he rented the Baal. Shal Esapara, meaning he hired the guy, and he says, I need you to take care of my carnival. And then he realizes he needs a horse. He says, by the way, and an hour later, he says, by the way, I need to borrow your horse too. Right? Umesa, and then the animal dies. Potter is Potter Shenem, and Balavima lo Yishalim. If his Bailam with him, he doesn't pay. Avol Shal is a para, but if he first borrowed the para, and then he employed the owner, then it doesn't work. They died chayiv, his chayiv shenemar ba'alav ein imoy. The Baal is not with him, shalim yishalim, then he has to pay. So it has to be structured properly in order to have this patur, which is basically that the owner has to be employed either at the time of the borrowing or before. But if he becomes employed later, even though at the time of the damage he's employed by the borrower, doesn't work. Fine. So Gemara says, "Midikatani Sefer." Gemara asks, "Midikatani Sefer b'achar shalas a para." The Sefer says, and he borrowed the para after he employed him. Michlal. That's not the Sefer Sefer. Right? It's the Sefer of the Reisha. It could be a little misleading. It's not the Sefer. The Sefer is the opposite of this. The Sefer of the Reisha says, and afterwards he borrowed the para. Mechlal the Reisha, the first part of Mishnah, the Tani Ima Mamish. Right? It's Mamish, he borrowed the animal and the worker at the same time. Ima Mamish Mimish Kachasla. How can you find that he rents the owner of the animal and the animal at the same time? There's two different kinyanim that have to be done, and they can't be done at the same time. Para v'meshicha, the way you kind of para or borrow a para is by pulling it. Ubailim ba'amira, and the owner is by saying it. So our answer is the same of the kaima para b'chatzera the shel. Somewhere where the para was already in the borrower's property. The loy mechsera mashicha, he doesn't need mashicha. So therefore, as long as he makes the deal with the owner, then he's fine. And you yourself, I'm not borrowing you until the Mashiach, meaning you can you could do the mice of the borrowing first, but you can tell him that the borrowing is not going to start until the animal gets pulled. Fine. Now the Gemara goes through the sources for all the different, first of all, what the dinim are of the different shayrim and what the sources are. So like in any time when you have a Gemara, when there's trying to figure out the sources, a lot of back and forth with drushes had a dash. So there's four types of shayrim. Shemechinam shoyel nesesacher v'asaycher. Shemechinam nishba halakol. A shemechinam has to swear on everything and he goes free because he's doing the guy a favor. Hashoyel, he's the opposite. A borrower, he's getting it for free, so therefore Mashalim Esakol, he's gonna have to pay for everything except for Mesa Machmus Balachim. Noise Sachav Asaycher, somebody who's getting paid to watch, or a renter, Nishpayan ala Shvura, Vala Shvuya, Vala Mesa. He has to make a Shvua if it gets broken, or if it gets captured, or if it dies. And Mashalim is Aveda Vesa Geneva. And he pays the Aveda and the Geneva. Right, so those are the dinim of four sham. You know what I mean? How do we know these dinim? The Tana Rabbanan Parsha Rishon and Nemer b'Shem Chinam, Shniya b'Shem V'Sachar, Shlishis b'Shoyel. That the first Parsha is Shem Chinam, second Parsha Shem V'Sachar. Right, this is all in Mishpatim. and there's 3 parshias of Shomrim. So we say one is by the first is Shomer Chinam, and with all different dinim. First is Shomer Chinam, second is Shomer Zachar, third is Shoyal. The Bishlam Ashlish is B'Shoyal Mefurish. The third parsha is talking about a Shoyal. That's Beferish. It says Yishal Ishma Imrei Over Nishbarei Meis Palav Inimoy Shalom Yishalem. Right? If a guy borrows from his friend and it gets broken or it dies, and the owner was not rented with him, he has to pay. So that's clear. That's talking about a Shoyal. Right? Why can't I could switch it? Who says that the dinam b'shomer chinam are shomer sacher? Maybe it's the opposite. So when I answer Mustavra Shniya b'shomer sacher shekain chayev b'geneva v'aveda. Mustavra, the second one is by a shomer sacher, meaning a paid watchman because he's chayev b'geneva v'aveda. If it's a free watchman and it got stolen or got lost, why would he be chayev? Right? So it must be that the second parsha, which says chayev b'geneva v'aveda, must be where the guy's getting paid. So one says, Adarabba, Rishona b'shomer sacher. Maybe the first parsha is shomer sacher shekei mishalem tashum mekefel b'toyin tayin is ganev. He has to pay kefel when his toyin tayin is ganev. Right? Meaning, let's say the first parsha it says that if the guy, the shomer chinam says and he lies and he says it got stolen, and then he ends up lying, so then he has to pay kefel, like we said, because he's a crook. He has to pay double. That's a big chumrah. Who's somebody that should have to pay double? Shouldn't have to be a shomer sacher. Maybe a shomer chinam shouldn't have to pay. The Gemara says no. Afilo hachi karna b'lei shvua adifa mikfela b'shvua. It's a bigger punishment to have to pay keren, meaning pay the principal, without stealing, right? Which is the shomer sacher. That's better than kefel with the shvua. That's already too much. Right? That's I'm saying. That's not considered. Meaning, when you are going to be on the books for paying, in all situations, right? That's better than kefel without a shvur, right? So that's why the shomer sacher should be the second parsha. Teda, it's a proof to this. The hashoyel kol hanoshaloi, somebody who borrows, he's getting all the benefit. Ve'ena mishalem el keren, and he only has to pay the keren, right? He doesn't have to pay kefil, but he has to pay everything, but he will not pay kefil. So Gemara asks, "Vashoyel kol hanoshaloi, a borrower, all that knows his v'habayim is, and he has to feed the animal, right? He has to feed the animals. How can he say all that knows his? So he said the kaima b'agam. It's talking about where he's using the animal in a swamp, which means he doesn't have to feed the animal because the animal will feed itself. So I asked v'habayim nitira, but he has to watch it. It's not like it's a total freebie. He has to watch animal. So what answers, but not their mas. It's someone in the town that's already watched, meaning they have watchmen in the town. Don't say that the whole hana is his. Doesn't mean it's all. You say the roiv is his. Or you could say it's somewhere where he borrowed kalim. Right? If he borrowed kalim, it's not. There's no upkeep to kalim. You just borrowed kalim. Let's just do one more. So somebody who's a watchman is being paid, and the second is shpayin al shvuler al shvuyer al mesa mushaman is aveda v'seknei. Right, so he has to pay. They swear on shvura and shvuya and mesa and his potter. But if it gets lost or it gets stolen, he has to pay. Bishlam geneva. We understand geneva that the chayv the sivim ganav yiganav me'imoy yishalim lebalav. If it gets stolen from him, you have to pay. He has to pay the owners. El aveda minon. How do we know aveda that he's chayv? The Tanya Ganav Yuganav, it says if he steals, ainly El Geneva. This only tells me Geneva. Aveda mean how about Aveda? Tamalam and Ganav Yuganav. If it gets stolen, Mikoma anywhere. Right? Meaning in any type of thing that the animal gets lost. So whereas that works, meaning the Ganav Yuganav, the double Lashon, so you can darshan each word of Geneva. Right? So then that works. So we don't say that the Torah talks like people. But according to Mandam, when it says that the Torah does speak like Lashon Adam, Michael or Meimar, what are you going to say? The reason why the Torah said Ganav Yiganav is because that's the way people talk. So in Marava they said, meaning they said a kavachayim. Something gets stolen, that's a korov to an einus, meaning a guy decides to come steal from you. That's could possibly be your fault, but it's mostly not your fault, and the guy has to pay. So Aveda, a lost item, a lost item is very korov to being negligent, like kosher. Isn't it a kosher? So then that's how you know. I mean, if you're already saying that a ganav he has to pay, for Ganev he has to pay, then Aveda certainly has to pay for idach. You know what it says? And what about the other shita? Why do you have a double lashon? Milsa does because he says anything that comes in a kavachaymer, we're matriach and the pasuk's matriach itself to write it, even though you could learn it out from a kavachaymer. Okay, we'll stop over there. We'll continue with the other shmiras after tomorrow with the Shem. Okay, let's say Tehillim.